I loved both episode 1 and episode 2 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It's essentially perfectly planned, you know? Episode 1 laid the groundwork while episode 2 went on an epic tale. So epic, in fact, that we not only saw Obi-Wan realizing that Anakin is still alive after 10 years, but the most shocking part to all was when we saw Reva plunge her lightsaber in the Grand Inquisitor's stomach at the nick of time, very reminiscent in my opinion of Kylo Ren killing Snow. Both of them used the opportunity at a very crucial moment. Knowing that they cannot kill their superiors that easily, they killed them while they were distracted. Here's a crazy question though. How the heck is the Grand Inquisitor killed at this moment when we see him alive years later in the animated show Star Wars Rebels? In fact, most presumed for years that that is exactly where he died. Moments before his impending death, the Grand Inquisitor turns to Kanan and tells him that there are far worse things than death. Gets eviscerated by the explosion, and that was it. Reading the comics, I kind of know what maybe happened, so we're going to talk about it in this video, because getting back to the show and to that specific moment where Reva kills the Grand Inquisitor, it definitely was a shocking moment, at least for me. Although realizing what actually happened kind of got me to understand much more deeper mystical things about Star Wars, and even perhaps where Star Wars is heading. So here's the situation the way we see it in Episode 2. Ever since Episode 1, Reva was trying to upstage both the Fifth Brother and the Grand Inquisitor. She was constantly strong-headed, did not listen to anybody, didn't want to be part of the Inquisitors. She wanted to be something more. Ultimately, we realized she wanted to gain favor with Darth Vader. She even specifically says this to Obi-Wan. However, a couple of scenes back, when the Grand Inquisitor realizes what Reva is doing, he actually warns her that she will never be able to go over his head. When Obi-Wan is on the planet, the Grand Inquisitor is the one who tells her that he will take over from here, signaling that whatever Reva does, he is her quote-unquote master. And in the end, he will take credit for everything. They all answer to him. He answers to Vader/Palpatine, and so forth. This is the main reason why Reva ultimately kills the Grand Inquisitor. She even tells this. We understand the reasoning of Reva, and it's pretty logical. What remains is the fact that the Grand Inquisitor appears to be dead. I saw a lot of comments that said, well, the Grand Inquisitor perhaps is not actually dead. Here's the thing though, we clearly see a lightsaber in the stomach for multiple seconds. After Reva removes the lightsaber, the Grand Inquisitor falls kinda to his death, then the camera stays on him for a couple of seconds, actually showing him that he is dead. Many were comparing this to Cad Bane shooting Cobb Vanth, but afterwards we realized that Cad Bane in fact shot him in the shoulder and that Cobb Vanth is probably still alive, and we're gonna see him in The Mandalorian Season 3. This, though, was a completely different situation. It wasn't a shoulder hit, it wasn't a mere graze. This was, again, a lightsaber to the stomach. With Cobb Vanth, the camera moved away and they inserted some extras saying, "Get the medkit." In this situation, nobody was running for help. The Grand Inquisitor wasn't moving, he just laid there, looking dead. If you need further proof that he is dead, well, in a couple of scenes in the trailers that are post Episode 2, we see Reva at the headquarters. We even see Reva and the other Inquisitors gathered in what seems like a war room type of situation. In either of those scenes, guess who is missing? Yes, it's the Grand Inquisitor. In fact, in that room where they're strategizing or locating the Jedi, there's a big chair sitting there empty. Presumably, this was the Grand Inquisitor's chair, and now it is empty, while the other Inquisitors gather around it and plan their next move. So after the stab to the stomach, in other scenes where the Inquisitors are seen, the Grand Inquisitor is missing. This again hints at the Grand Inquisitor's death. So how the heck do we see him in Star Wars Rebels, which takes place years after the Obi-Wan Kenobi series? To answer this, we need to revisit the Star Wars 2020 comic series. In the 2020 Star Wars comics, Luke Skywalker travels to the world Tempest in the Outer Rim. There, he discovers an abandoned Jedi temple, and once he enters inside, he sees a lot of artifacts such as holocrons and Jedi Temple Guardian armor, but the main thing he picks up is a new lightsaber. This is between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so we realize that Luke actually had a yellow lightsaber during that time. It is inside this Jedi temple that Vader had laid a trap for Luke, because it is the Grand Inquisitor who appears as a sort of an evil spirit. This encounter between the Grand Inquisitor and Luke is pretty supernatural for Star Wars, because the Grand Inquisitor is levitating like a ghost and he is engulfed in fire, kind of looking like a Ghost Rider character. But I mean, he's not a ghost because we clearly see him dueling Luke Skywalker. Luke in the end bests him in this duel, but it's not like this ghost of the Grand Inquisitor is harmless. He can affect physical things in the physical world, even though he appears to have supernatural powers. When Luke cuts the Grand Inquisitor's hand, it is not like he has cut a physical thing. It's like he has cut through fire. In the end, Luke swings his lightsaber through the torso of the Grand Inquisitor, and it's like the Grand Inquisitor was extinguished. He just evaporates. But even though this happens when Vader arrives at Tempest to ask the Grand Inquisitor for accountability, he is again fully formed, just engulfed in fire, and he is pleading with Darth Vader to release him. This wish is denied by Vader, and he tells the Grand Inquisitor that you are but a tool, shaped to serve my purposes. You will continue. And with his signature line, the Grand Inquisitor says there are worse things than death, as he again evaporates. What this meant has not yet been fully explained in Star Wars. Vader insinuates that the Grand Inquisitor has been shaped in some form. Who has done that, or for why? We know that the Grand Inquisitor is there to set a trap to capture Luke Skywalker, although he doesn't succeed in that. How has Vader managed this? Nobody has been able to answer this yet. I presume Sith alchemy is involved in some way, shape, or form. But what's interesting is that even after his death in Star Wars Rebels, the Grand Inquisitor was shown to be alive years later in this Jedi Temple in Tempest. So my idea is that even though the Grand Inquisitor died at the hands of Reva in episode 2 of the Obi-Wan series, they might have revived him through Sith alchemy in Star Wars Rebels 2. But again, another question is, why did he appear in Star Wars Rebels to be normal, while here he appears to be supernatural? That's another question for, I guess, Dave Filoni. But I guess we have a third answer, and this is probably the worst one, is that they have completely retconned what we saw in Star Wars Rebels, something that I don't believe they would do, because Star Wars Rebels is canon, was headed by Filoni, and he was perhaps somewhat involved with Obi-Wan too, so I don't want to believe that they retconned the Grand Inquisitor's death just for this series, although everything is possible as we see with Star Wars canon, but at the same time I can't say that he is alive either, so I'm guessing they're gonna answer a couple of more questions as we go on, but I'm thinking this comic has a lot to say when it comes to why we see the Grand Inquisitor alive during Star Wars Rebels. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what do you think down below in the comments. Leave a thumbs up as well if you enjoyed the video. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.